Morning, everyone. It's Memorial Day. Just wanted to say thanks to all those who served protecting our great country. And in this video, I thought I'd just do a little kind of letting you know where my head's at, what I'm kind of planning, what I'm thinking about as far as what I'm going to be working on and stuff moving forward. So I got kind of a lot of thoughts going on right now. I don't know if all these things will come to fruition or not. You know, money, time always dictates that. All right, so let's start with the least likely thing that's going to happen, but hopefully it does happen. So I was watching Chris Birdsong video the other day. Pretty cool video. He was comparing motorhome 440s and Magnum 383s. So I pretty much agree with everything he said, but I'm not in like 100%, hook, line, and sinker on the whole idea. So 383s are great engines, and he makes a lot of good points. The biggest being they come with higher compression. Yeah, that's huge. Total agreement. They use the same heads as 440s, so you're getting all the flow 440 gets, but on a smaller engine. Also a huge advantage. Their size, because of the lower deck, they fit in the engine bays a lot better. You got more room for headers and more hood to air cleaner clearance. Also huge. But and they're cheaper, right? So if you find them on Marketplace or whatever, you usually get a 383 for a lot less than a 440 just because they're kind of overlooked. But I'd say it's not without reason. And here's why. If you're looking to just drop an engine in your car and spend as little as possible, and that engine is a 383 and it is pretty much a turnkey engine, and all you have to do is drop it in your car and go, like, I'm totally in support of that. But if you have to machine the engine at all, or down the road you want to build an engine, the 440's got way more potential. Just the bigger stroke, it's going to go a lot further. Also, I'd say, even if you're going to build a 440 or if you're going to take a motorhome 440 and not really build it, but make some small improvements, like in his example, he had a motorhome 440 and he put forged pistons in there, high compression pistons. So like you do that and it's like, I don't think the 383 is really going to hang very well against a 440. But here's what I got, and here's my example of what I want to do. That is a motorhome 440. It's actually out of a Winnebago. I think it was a 1969. In this particular case, it's actually got a steel crank. So that was one of the arguments Birdsong was making, is that, and he's right, it seems like most 440s you're going to see on Marketplace that are, a huge motorhome engine. Most of them seem to be from the mid to late 70s or even early 70s that had cast cranks. But in this particular case, we got a steel crank. So that's good. This engine has very little ridgeline. Actually, no ridgeline. I'm going to have to clean all this up. Yeah, I think it had 40,000 miles on it when I pulled it. I could be wrong. Could have been 80,000. It's been a long time. We got to change the pan because it's got a motorhome or a truck pan. But we'll put a timing set in it and stuff. So here's kind of what I'm thinking about with this engine. In fact, being that it's a 69, it's actually probably a higher compression engine than, say, the late 70s. So, but I don't want to change pistons anyway. What I want to do with this engine is I have a set of stealth heads that I pulled off of the 440 that I put in the 68 Charger. They're closed chamber heads, so that'll bump the compression up. Man, there's so much. You try to look up like flat cams and stuff. There's so many opinions out there with, I'm not sure. With so much conviction. everybody thinks they got the problem solved. They know why cams are going flat. And I'm not here to tell them they're wrong. I'm just saying what I see is it's like, how can everybody be right? you know, um, who do you believe? I've watched PAL Engineering. I think it's engineering. Anyway, or PAL Machine. He did a lot of good stuff. I mean, the nicest thing about his videos is he's using like real data and measuring stuff and grinding stuff and showing you. So I give what he says a lot more credence than most everybody else. But in the process of all these flat cams, which could be oil, it could be the machine work, it could be metallurgy, although I don't think it's the metallurgy based on the PAL information. Comp cams has really been accused, one of the most accused of having shitty lifters or shitty cams or whatever, having the most problems. And I don't remember which YouTuber said it, but they made a good point that I think like comp cams makes more camshafts than all other camshaft makers combined. So it could be just by the sheer fact that comp cams makes more camshafts than anybody else. They get more visibility to when there's a problem. So is it their cam, or is it that there's just more of them out there? I think it's probably true. There's just more of them out there. Anyway, they make these Mopar Performance nostalgia cams. So what I would like to do is I want to get a purple shaft 509 cam, and I want to put it in that 440. Now the reason I want to put it in that 440 is because I really don't have any money in that 440. So if that cam goes bad and it starts sending metal through the engine or something like that, I didn't really lose anything. I don't really want to put that cam through a brand new engine that, and I'm just being cautious. I honestly don't think it's the comp cam. I don't think I'm gonna have problems. I've only had one cam go flat on me once, ever. Long time ago in a small block, and I don't even think it was, I'm not sure why it did it, but I lost a lobe. And that was after having lots of miles on the engine. And that was a Mopar purple shaft cam. Anyway, put the cam in this engine, do the break-in on it, maybe run it, and if everything looks great, might actually end up using this engine as sort of the mule to do cam break-ins and stuff before I put them in expensive engines. Anyway, that's my thought. So here's something else that's been on my mind. I was racing with Night Wrencher and No Bolts Left Behind, and Jax and Jeremy, which is sort of stock Mopars. And, it was kind of a while ago. And of course, they all want to race Dorothy, which is, slow. But I guess everybody wants the easy win. Oh, and race Pontiac Ray's garage. Sorry, Ray. Anyway, I'm kind of done with Dorothy. She's a great car for what she is, but I really want to jump into competing with those guys, and I don't really know how it'll play out, because it's sort of like the competition between all of us sort of faded. I've had a lot of stuff on my plate, and I haven't been able to participate, so I'm not blaming anybody else. It's totally, my lack of participation is my fault. But if something comes up, and even if nothing comes up, I just want to go hit the track with like a cheap car to go race, and play with. Not stupid fast, not stupid expensive, just a nice hot rod. So with that motorhome 440, the Winnebago 440, I'm thinking, why not put it in the 69 Charger? This car is a pretty solid car. It's missing everything. It's basically just the body. It's even missing the glass, but I think I have spare glass. So put glass in it, put seats in it. It needs a windshield, and put that Winnebago 440 in it, and go go play with it, you know? Just do a really cheap big block build for it. And then if those guys want to race or something, well, you gotta race the Charger, because that's what I'm playing with. And something else, so these are all just thoughts right now. Whether it comes together or not, I don't know. You know, there's a lot. That car needs a lot, right? And even though I want to make it as cheap as possible and use a lot of the parts that I already have laying around, not really buy as much stuff, you're still gonna buy stuff. So that's one thought. The other thought is this. My dad's 68 Charger. The 440 in it is good, ready to rock and roll. And if you've been keeping up on the channel, you knew that I think I had a drive shaft clip come out or something, and it had a crazy vibration, and it basically ripped through the floor of the car. It destroyed my transmission, and it destroyed my floor, which really bummed me out. So don't get me wrong, I count my blessings. I'm lucky that thing didn't take out my leg. But here's what we got to do. We got to get the car jacked up. I got to pull the exhaust loose on it. Drop the transmission, what's left of the transmission out, and start fixing the floor. My buddy Jeremy at Shade Tree Vintage Auto hooked me up with a spare floor. Before I cut and try to paste that in, I'm going to try to straighten up as much as I can here. And I'm wondering if, because I don't think chunks of the floor are gone, I think they're all there, it's just splayed out. So I'm wondering if I can straighten it back up and just weld it back together. Keep the original metal. This car would actually make a lot more sense than the 69 and doing anything there, because this car is further along. That engine's good to go. This needs a transmission, but so does that one. Get this car running and going and, you know, fixed. And I could compete with this thing with those guys if those guys want to race. And I would also like to get this car to duct tape drags again, this time hopefully running and driving and not broken. So unfortunately I've just been very unmotivated to work on it. I don't know, I'm not making excuses, but when that happened, it basically just took the wind out of my sails for that car. It's tough when you dump a ton of money and time into something, and then it's like you're 90% there, and that last 10% you didn't address screws up the whole car, you know. And you gotta start over. So if I don't get the 68 Charger ready for duct tape, this is my backup plan. This is my 68 Dodge Cornet. It's a really nice car. It runs on the hot side. So I'm gonna have to do something about the cooling system on this if I'm gonna take it to duct tape, because it's really hot there usually. But it runs good. It's a mild 440. It's got a 44 lift hydraulic cam, TTI headers. It's got a RPM intake. It's the dual plane. It's really high. It makes great torque and great power for a street car. So this car would be really fun to go play with. And I might just, take this to duct tape, even though it's nice. Not really the ratty thing, but just take it and have fun to take something different. You know what I mean? And before anybody asks about the Plymouth, the 72 Plymouth Satellite, that's my Danish friend's car. And the other thing that's in my head is this car, and kind of that car. This car is my mom's 72 Charger. Back to the Chris Birdsong argument, this engine is basically checks all those boxes. I bought this 383. It's a 383 Magnum from a 70 Roadrunner I bought from my buddy John Jones. It's a good running engine, low mileage, and all I did was clean it up, put a cam in it, put a timing set in it, also TTI headers, put an AC compressor on it. I just want this car to be a really nice driver, and being that I just lost my dad, my mom's up there in age too, and I want to try to finish this car before it's too late. So I really want to get back on this car and get it done for her so she can enjoy it. This is sort of where we left off, before my dad had health issues. We have this little booger up in here, and a little bit there. A lot of you guys have said, just don't worry about it. It's so minor. And now that time has passed, I am not worried about it anymore. I need to move forward. So this dash belongs to the Blue 72. I ended up buying, I didn't do a video on it yet because that's kind of when everything fell apart with my dad. But I bought this dash. This was the one I had, which was pretty beat up. I bought this one, and I was going to go through and check the gauges on it, and then put this in this dash frame and put that into the Charger. And then once the whole reason for doing this car ahead of this car was I wanted to kind of experiment with this and kind of learn from it before I did it to my mom's car. So, but get all this stuff, it takes up a lot of space, get all this done, get the harness attached to it, get it into the car, and that's good enough for now. And then I need to pull all the dash out of my mom's car and basically do a repeat. Do everything I did to that one, do it to this car, get it back in here with the harness and everything, get the car wired up, and be able to, start it, run it, drive it, hopefully, and then start buttoning up the interior on it. So another thing on my mind, kind of loosely on my mind, is this car versus the 69 Charger with the Winnebago 440. And that's kind of like one thing I can do. The other thing is actually do a nice car, this car. And I bought this 440 from my buddy Dennis. So it's painted like Chevy orange. So it needs to be kind of wire wheeled and repainted Mopar orange. But that engine is a good engine and is ready to rock and roll. We think it's got a 509 cam in it, but I'm not 100% sure. But, all that effort you put into that 69, I could basically take all that energy and effort and just put it into this car. That you got a running 440 also. And I'm short on transmissions, man. Like, I've got trannies, but they need to be built. Anyway, of course, this is going to be a little more meticulous. It's gonna be, but if I can get it drivetrain wise done and just worry about the interior later, you know, that's a possibility. So that's sort of where I'm at. I didn't even mention the Duster, but it's pretty much done and ready to go. So I just got to put the front tires back on it. I took off a Dorothy. It's really nothing else to do to it except drive it. And then Dorothy, kind of want to put her back to, you know, street. So put the bench seat back in it, lower the front end back down, dog dish caps. It still has the shear grip in it, which it doesn't need. So I'll probably put a, you know, set of gears that I have laying around in there and just roll it just as a driver. Oh, there's the wagon. So the carburetor on the wagon was kind of messed up. So I went ahead and I just bought a new AFB for it, put it on there, and it runs a lot better as far as getting out on the highway and opening her up. Before it would kind of like, I wasn't sure if it was ignition or carburetor, but it was like just kind of laying over. It doesn't lay over now, but now it's got a little stumble, you know, so when you start to accelerate, it kind of stumbles and then it takes off. So I got to screw with that. Probably not video worthy, but I have been cruising the car locally, you know, around here. So I think that was something else too. Just before my dad got, you know, well, he had cancer, so he'd been sick and didn't know it, but right around February or so is when he really, you know, everything was hitting the fan. One of the things was the fuel pump on the wagon. So I think I did a video on that, and that was when I was first talking about my dad. But fuel pump's good now. Everything's good with that. And then just a couple days ago, just kind of nice. You know, my son comes out, wakes up at his usual noon, teenager stuff, and comes out and says, "Dad, two things. I'm hungry and I want to work on a car." I was like, all right. He didn't care which car, but my dad gave him the 55 Chevy. So we had taken the carburetor off of it to rebuild it because the accelerator pump was bad, and it's been a while, and I really don't know those carburetors. And we started working on it, and it's like, you know what? I go, tell you what, how about we just put a Edelbrock on it and make it easy? Because I got a bunch of junk Edelbrocks we can go through, try to rebuild one. And then I remembered I bought this Holly from a friend at work, and it doesn't really fit, like the arms on it don't really fit a Mopar. So I said, well, why don't we throw that Holly on there? So we did. We threw the Holly on there. We fired it up. We got a lot of work to do to this car. You know, need to go through the cooling system. I can already see a pinhole right there. And the fuel pump actually started pumping. We sprayed my buddy Dennis when he was over here. But I did buy a new fuel pump, so we'll probably change that fuel pump. And we need to get a fuel tank. But all that stuff, everything with this car is going to be on my son's channel, which is Nut Job Garage. And I don't know how often we'll be posting there, but if you want to see anything to do with that, that's something else we'll be spending some time on. You know, just kind of while I'm here, this is also a random thing, but you know, that's my high school 68 Charger. I probably should, you know, over that car, I probably should be doing everything to this car, but I really would like, what I'd like to do to this car, mini tub it, frame connectors, and put a nice 440 in it. Not a, you know, not the Winnebago 440, although that could be an option, you know, and just make that car everything I want to make it. You know, that's sort of the dream car. That's the car. I don't want it to be crazy fast. I want it to be like street fast, you know? So I don't want to build a drag car where you can't drive it and enjoy it. I want it to be fast, but street fast. So I don't know, maybe a car that's in the high 12s. It'd even be nicer if you got into the 11s down the drag strip. I think faster than that, it starts to become not a street car, you know. So anyway, I'm getting old. I've had that car since the 80s, probably around 87, 88, somewhere in there. And I drove it back then, 318, but I really like to have that dream come true someday, you know, and the clock's ticking big time. It really needs to move to the front of the line, but lack of funds kind of keeps that from happening. So we got to be really smart and strategic. So I know I threw a bunch of ideas out there at you. I'd say out of all of those, the number one priority is probably my mom's 72 Charger. And since my son's going to be driving here pretty soon, I think getting the 55 Chevy running and driving is up there. Number one, number two. And my dad's blue 68, I think, is just a shorter timeline than the 69 Charger, or even my high school 68 Charger and the 72 blue Charger. So I guess we'll see what happens. I don't think things are gonna be the same for YouTube, for me and YouTube, for the channel anymore. Probably could have tried harder to make the channel more successful, better, whatever, bigger. But you know, there are limitations. There's only so much time you have, so much energy you have, and so much money. So, you know, I was watching a Whistle and Diesel video, and he was talking about some of the builds he does and the cost. You know, it's like, yeah, I got $1 million in this truck, and it's like, you know, I can't do that kind of stuff. So I'm going to be throttling back way more, I think, than what I used to do. I think I'm probably going to simplify a lot more stuff, try to still give you the information for those, you know, for those guys that are here for the, like, the how-to stuff. Still want to give you all of that, but as far as growing the channel, algorithms and all that BS, it's like, I don't care. I'm just doing this to document my life, my hobby, my cars, and maybe help some people out there that are, you know, working on their own cars, and that's pretty much it. So probably not going to see a video come out every week or every other week like I tried to do before. It's just going to come out when it comes out. And if this stuff interests you guys, I hope you watch it. I need to loosen up the starter. Basically, I'm going to pull it loose and then just let it lay there in the headers, wedged between the headers and the block. The top bolt should be 5/8, and the bottom one should be a 11/16 nut. So I'm gonna have to go by feel because I can't see nothing. And let me turn the steering hard left to get all this out of the way. Anything to do with the starter when there's headers involved is a pain. All right, I think I can get to the top one from the top side better than from the bottom. There's one. I don't even know if this is worth a criticism, but you know, it seems like if this tube was a little bit more that way, you could get in with the socket like a straight shot. I think that's as far out as it's gonna go without removing the header. So because this is an aftermarket torque converter and flex plate, the flex plate bolts are 3/4. I need to move the flex plate back over.
It's actually easier to turn the engine over from here. So my strategy's been get this head exposed where you could get a wrench on it, turn it all the way up to the block, and then when the block stops it from turning, then you could actually get some power behind it to get it loose. Back it off a little bit, pull that out. Now I'm going to turn it over from the crank again to bring this over. Something I just wanted to point out, the paint, if you don't know this already, these holes are not equally spaced apart from each other. 3 of them are equally spaced, and then the 4th one is cockeyed a little bit. So when you put all this stuff together, make sure you match the flex plate and the torque converter. Put some spray paint on one of the ears, so that way you always align it the same way. Otherwise, you might start, you see how difficult this is. You start one of these bolts, start to get it through. You could get as far as 3 of them, or a couple of them, where they line up and the last one doesn't, which is pretty freaking annoying. And by the way, I didn't record it, but I had to take the fan shroud loose to get the socket, extension, and ratchet in there on the front of the crank. Turn this over. I've got blue Loctite on there too, which is why they're so hard to break loose. Well, usually torque converter just plops in more. Hopefully that's not because something's damaged. Alright, just did a rough cut out of this 1-inch plywood. I'm gonna put it just like that. So when the engine comes down, it's gonna rest on the steering link, but the plywood will be between it. And I think just for a good measure, we'll throw a t-shirt over it. Alright, just like that. You gotta take the tranny lines, the shifter linkage, and then we'll put the tranny jack under here and start pulling the cross member out. I guess I should drain this thing. That's quite a bit of damage. Alright, all that's left is to pull the bell housing bolts. So how we get those out, then we can drop the transmission. I don't know if you can see this. Here's the bell housing, the block, header, trans lines. So I got all the upper bell housing bolts out. Now all I have left are these 2 corner bolts. And I think I could get this one all the way out. But that one, look at how close that is to the header. Might have to leave that one in the block, and just like when I loosen it, back the bell housing out, or bit the whole transmission out. And then when I go back in, I got to remember, I got to come up, align that, get that started. All right, anyway, I just wanted to show you. I'm not going to really be able to film it because there's really no clean view of that. Mold bearing fell out of the trans somewhere when I took the trans mount down. All right, anyway, I got that other bolt loose. I think it's completely out of the thread, so I just have to lower the trans, get the block, the engine to sit on the steering link here, and then I'm going to push the transmission back away from the block, and hopefully everything comes down okay. Okay, why is the torque converter stuck to the flex plate? I want to bend my flex plate. Come on, what's going on? Let me try to jack up the engine.
Okay. 1 hour later.
I don't know why. Freaking torque converter flex plate is stuck, or torque converter and crank. Why? Bell housing is hitting the firewall in the car. I don't think we could get. I was gonna leave the torque converter on the crank, just pull the trans out, but this it's stuck. The torque converter seems to be fused to the flex plate and the crank. I can't really seem to get in here, pry these apart, and I think everything's just in a bind right now. The trans is completely loose, but the bell housing is jamming up against the firewall. So my only option, and it's trapped like between the torque converter and the firewall. So I think my only option now is what I was hoping, you know, to leave the steering link in place. Now I think I'm gonna have to drop the steering link. So I'm gonna have to drop the steering link so that the engine can lay back farther. And if it lays back farther, I'm hoping that'll change the angle of everything, and then I could get the transmission out from, you know, it won't be as trapped to the firewall anymore. I'm gonna try taking the pitman arm off, since that's not gonna destroy any of these bushings, whereas if I take it loose from here, I'm gonna tear up these boots. So we'll take it apart at the pitman arm, drop this down. Hopefully there's enough flex in here, the motor drops enough to get the tranny out. Crap. I know I'm going to destroy that flex plate. I'm just going to have to replace it. Why in the F is the converter so effing tight?
2 hours later.
Why are you doing this to me? Why? You mother hubber. How? What a nightmare. This can't be happening. This is not supposed to be happening. I have never, ever had this happen before. Is it coming? It looks like it. The crank's moving around. I'm pretty sure I put grease on the nipple of the torque converter too. I should have did the 69 charger. No big deal. Just pull the exhaust. Pull the trans. Never freaking happened before. Never have I seen this happen. And makes it a bitch to get the trans out. Okay. Okay. No big deal. Drop the steering linkage. Alright. Drop the steering linkage. The block to drop farther. The transmission out. After a lot of persuasion, we get it out. What the F is going on, man? Oh my God. It's gonna make me pull the engine out, pull the crank out, have to throw the crank away just to move on. Perfectly good running engine. You gotta be kidding me. This motherfucker's gotta come out. It's gotta come out. You mother effer. What the I felt some movement. I felt some significant movement, guys. No. No, we're gonna fight you all the way, aren't we? Okay. Come on. What? Maybe. I heard a change in pitch. That could be good. Could be torque converter coming off. I'm getting enough space to jam the screwdriver between the crank bolts to the flex plate and the converter. And then by hammering this in there, I think, yeah, it's like wedging. Did you see that? Did you guys see that? So, yeah. Whoa. Whew. What the F? What the F? Holy shit. Holy shit, man. I mean, doesn't feel boogered up. It's probably a good thing I put grease on it, right? Wait a minute. Oh! Did you see that? You guys probably didn't see that. Alright. I don't know if you're gonna see this. Can you see in between? There's a little metal shaving there. Oh, I feel some boogers there. Everything feels okay. after prying on it so hard, I can trust that flex plate. I mean, I've just had too many things go wrong, and I'm sure the flex plate is fine. I'm sure it's not bent. I'm sure it's not out of balance. I'm sure it's not broken or cracked. But this is in the middle of the freaking engine, and if anything goes wrong because of this flex plate, I think I'm gonna replace it just to be sure. I think this has something to do with why I got stuck. Let's see if I can zoom in. Yeah. See the burrs there? So there's some burrs there. I don't know how that happens, but you know, it probably has something to do with the drive shaft letting go. And you know, I was really hoping to reuse this $1,000 torque converter. But look here. So when everything let go, that the main output shaft, or the, I guess it would be input shaft on this side, you can see it just caused a lot of damage here. So this side feels okay, but it's burred up really bad there. You know, I have a feeling that when everything let go, it just, I mean, it obviously got cockeyed in here, and then put everything in a bind against the crank. So, because, man, I'm telling you, I don't recall going through that much hassle to put all this stuff together. So, I'm just, it's very suspect now. So I don't think there was anything wrong with the converter per se. I think the drive shaft letting go effed it up, basically. Which, you know, I mean, maybe it'll be okay, right? Maybe. But, do I really want to take a chance? Do I really want to put all this crap back together and only to have it come apart? No. I don't know, maybe I'll call Dynamic and see what they say. Maybe they can inspect it or something and take those burrs off. I don't know. All I know is I'm done for the day. I don't know. God, look at that trans. That's what's left of the trans. So, on the output shaft, I mean, look at it, dude. Yeah. By the way, after all this let go, the engine was still running. So, I'm not really worried about anything going on with the motor. It's just the worst that happened to it was it bound that converter into the back of the crank. But that's probably the limit of my taking chances. So I'm gonna have to go with a new converter, new transmission, new drive shaft. Just work my way back, get her running again. But for today, I'm done. I'm done with the pain and agony. The last thing I need to do is I'm just gonna put the pitman arm back on to use the steering link to hold up the motor, and then I'm done for today.